Hello and welcome to Kent Tonight, live here on KMTV. I'm Chloe Brewster and here are your top stories on Tuesday the 24th of March. Business as usual, Canterbury businesses and local tourism impacted from the meningitis outbreak.
And when you come out shopping, you're not in close contact with people, are you really? So I think people are beginning to understand.
Cafe crisis, emergency crews called to early morning fire on Strood High Street. And finally, Save the Cats. An RSPCA cattery is fundraising to save itself from closure.
And, you know, our concern is if we do close, where do all of these cats go?
But first, our top story this evening. It's now week 2 of the meningitis outbreak over in Canterbury and thousands have been vaccinated against it. But what are the scenes like in Canterbury? And with many students and residents still conscious of the outbreak, how has local tourism been faring? Well, our reporter Naila Mohammed went to Canterbury to find out.
All over social media, Canterbury has been compared to a ghost town. Many are leaving the city and others are strongly encouraging people not to come and visit amid the outbreak, over fears of it spreading. But what is the reality on the ground? Well, it's week 2 of the meningitis outbreak, and this is what Canterbury High Street looks like. Found just 3 miles from the Canterbury campus of the University of Kent, the High Street is busier than expected, full of tourists and residents alike. But how have local businesses been coping amid the outbreak?
Basically, we are the tourist shops. So mostly our customer are like tourist base. So it directly got affected our business. We have seen like a drop in like past week, and this week is also very quiet.
Things have been quite slow. Foot traffic is down by about sort of 25% and takings were down. I think it's a really good time to start coming back to Canterbury. It's safe, it's comfortable. All the businesses are open and ready to welcome you. Everyone's taken extra sort of precautions. So I think you can feel very safe and very comfortable coming back to Canterbury. We need you.
Business being open as usual was a sentiment also shared by Alan Baldock. So I asked him, why was the high street suddenly so busy?
It's been quieter last week, to be honest, but I think people have got used to it now a little bit more. We know it's safe because meningitis is not spread in the same way that COVID was spread. It's much, much harder to get meningitis. It's much more about close contact. And when you come out shopping, you're not in close contact with people, are you really? So I think people are beginning to understand.
And only a few steps away from the high street, towards the cathedral, Canterbury gets even busier.
As you can see behind me, it's absolutely bustling here in Canterbury. You've got a busker on one side, and all surrounding me, actually, you've got school trips and tourists and residents all enjoying this lovely sunny day. In fact, as I was walking through the high street earlier, I came across 3 different school trips from other countries, and I've spoken to a few students as well who said they're very excited to come and spend the week here in Canterbury. And with the new installation of the Archbishop being this Wednesday, is tourism back on the rise for this historic city?
Naila Mohammed for KMTV in Canterbury.
With Canterbury set to host the installation of its Archbishop Dame Sarah Mullally tomorrow, we spoke with Lisa Carlson from the Canterbury Business Improvement District about if people should be wary of visiting the city.
So obviously the last week with the meningitis outbreak has been particularly challenging for our community, and our hearts go out to those who have been impacted by that, the students and their friends and their family. The impact on the city has been really devastating. So we saw about a over 25% drop in footfall. At the beginning of the week, we saw language school group cancellations, hotel group cancellations, attraction seeing cancellations, and just fewer people coming in. We saw about, most of our businesses reported about a 50% drop in sales. And that's really challenging at this time of year because the sun came out last week. We're in the run up to the Easter holidays, and we're off the back of a really challenging 5 or 6 years that businesses and their staff have faced with rising costs. So we've been through the pandemic. We've now got an unstable situation politically and globally, uncertainty over energy prices, uncertainty over rising business costs, business rates. national insurance, all of it. It means that even if we do see that footfall increase, businesses aren't making a lot of money right now. And so this time of year in the run-up to the Easter holidays is so important. So it really has been a challenging time.
Should tourists be wary of coming into Canterbury, or would you say it's a celebration, come in?
It's a really important celebration that's happening here in Canterbury as we welcome the 106th Archbishop of Canterbury, Dame Sarah Mullally, and we really look forward to her installation service tomorrow. There will be hundreds of people here, probably over 2,000 people here. Canterbury is a completely safe space, and I understand off the back of the pandemic, when something like a meningitis outbreak happens, people are concerned, and that makes complete sense. But it's absolutely fine. We've not heard any medical advice to indicate that we shouldn't gather, we shouldn't come out. And of course, Canterbury, you're never more than 5 minutes from a park or a garden. There's lots of outdoor space, there's fantastic hospitality. So if you just feel like you want to be outside, you can. But otherwise, come and explore. It's a beautiful city, and we welcome you.
Now, the latest data on the outbreak says there have been no new meningitis cases linked to the original cluster in Canterbury for the second day in a row. The vaccine rollout has also been extended to Year 11s at the affected schools. It means 20 cases have been confirmed, with 3 still under investigation. Now, Swale Borough Council has upped safety measures at its HQ in Sittingbourne after anti-immigration protesters destroyed its council building. It comes after a meeting back in December that was thrown into chaos and was paused after members of the public disrupted proceedings and caused thousands of pounds of damage to the building. However, even the politicians that were targeted by the rowdy demonstrators say the move could risk making public meetings feel less open or make the chamber look like, I quote, a Russian court. Maisie Walker joins me now to tell me more. So can you just take us back to what happened for us to get to this point?
So in December, a council meeting at Swale Borough Council, as you said, had to be paused after members of the public disrupted proceedings, shouting abuse at councillors. That night, £10,000 worth of damage was caused to the council offices in East Street, Sittingbourne. Lift doors were broken and a bathroom was flooded. The building was unable to open the next day, and the scenes were even condemned in the House of Commons. And we can take a look at some of that now.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm horrified to report to you and to the House as a whole that last night in Swale Borough Council there were violent scenes as people wearing balaclavas in the public gallery itself violently intimidated councillors. They were threatening them, pelting them with eggs and missiles from the gallery.
Mr. Speaker, my honourable friend speaks very powerfully of the appalling actions which have taken place, and I join him in condemning the actions of those involved.
Was Kevin McKenna there at the beginning, a Labour MP for Sittingbourne and Sheppey, but of course we can see there the scenes being described as appalling. The disruption followed a debate on a motion to declare Swale a district of sanctuary for refugees and asylum seekers, and since then 2 children have been charged with criminal damage in connection with the vandalism, and we can see some of the footage from that evening now.
We say no! We say no!
So as you can see now, there was significant damage, and documents presented to the Council Economy and Property Committee on March the 19th. So the incident led to a thorough review of how public meetings are run.
So what's the update now then? What's Swale Borough Council doing about all of this?
So Swale Council is now increasing security after disruptions by these protesters against immigration. So new measures include radios for staff, CCTV covering the public gallery, and body-worn cameras for security and council workers. Safe spaces have also been identified for councillors and staff. The council is also working with Kent Police on a risk rating system for meetings, including age restrictions for unaccompanied young people, and bringing in a ticketing system for some of these. For some sessions, and plans to move all meetings online were considered but ultimately rejected. But there is still ongoing review into installing a screen between the public gallery and the council chamber, as well as introducing mandatory ID checks.
Amazing, thank you so much for joining me, Maisie. Now, a nightmare neighbour who terrorised residents in Brookland has been caught in the act.
Get off my
Folks
property
in-
now. Get off my property. Get off of my property.
Or what?
The police are on their way.
Folkestone Magistrates Court heard how Anthony Merritt had repeatedly harassed residents in their homes. One couple was so impacted by the abuse, they say they were left feeling like prisoners in their own home. The 62-year-old also threw bricks at a gardener working outside the property. The court heard how Merritt had been suffering mental health issues at the time of the harassment. Merritt admitted to the offences in November and was later charged with 3 counts of harassment without violence, common assault and possession of cannabis. Now, motorists in Medway faced long rush hour delays this morning after a tunnel shut due to a power failure. The A289 Medway tunnel shut in both directions between Anthony's Way at Medway City Estate and Maritime Way at Chatham Docks. Medway Council confirmed the tunnel was closed following a power failure overnight and apologised. The tunnel has since reopened. A former Reform UK county councillor who defected to UKIP has formed her own political party. Amelia Randall was elected in Reform's landslide victory at Kent County Council in May 2025, but became the first to leave to vote for UKIP. The Thanet councillor has now launched her own party, Better Way Of, under the banner of patriotism and humanity. She now intends to register the party with the Electoral Commission before seeking new members. Now it's time for a quick break, but please don't go anywhere as we'll be giving you more news from across the county, including a cap on vet bills and an update on a fire. Thank you so much. Join me soon. Hello and welcome back to Kent Tonight, live here on KMTV. In the early hours of the morning, a fire broke out at Ramo's Cafe in Strood High Street, with emergency services arriving at the scene just after 4 a.m. A police investigation has now been launched to determine the cause. To tell us more, Kristen Hawthorne joins us live from outside the cafe. Kristen, what are the details here?
Yeah, well, like you said there, Chloe, an investigation has been launched into the cause of the fire, which started at around 4 a.m. this morning. A witness there, Josh Lowe, said that he was there around that time and fire crews arrived just at about 4:11 a.m. this morning. He told Kent Online that the building had thick black smoke coming from the front of it with an orange glow at the top. He said he heard things smashing and breaking inside, and before the fire brigade arrived, he heard those, and a few minutes later they blocked off the road, which has now been reopened, which you might be able to see in some pictures on screen. In total, it's reported that at the height of the fire, 7 fire engines and a height vehicle were in attendance, with police, 2 more fire engines and several vans being used to block the A2 Strood High Street. In a statement issued this morning by Ramo's Cafe, they said, "We regret to inform you that Ramo's Cafe has suffered a fire and is temporarily closed. The safety of our staff and visitors is our top priority. We're assessing the situation and will provide updates regarding reopening and any alternative arrangements as soon as possible. We apologise for any inconvenience and thank you for your understanding and support during this time." I did have a look into the window of the cafe at the front, and the damage inside does look quite severe, so those alternative sites may be something that Ramos needs to look into. Next door is Lucky Star Gaming Amusement Centre, which has now been reopened along with the road, although this morning it was cordoned off with 2 police cars outside, but that has been reopened now. 2 fire engines remained at the scene this morning as well, as they continued to expel the flames from the rear of the building, of which I'm standing at now. In an update issued by Kent and Fire Rescue at 9:30 a.m, which is when the fire was fully expelled, they said work is now complete at the commercial building, and crews were wearing breathing apparatus extinguishing the flames using hose reel jets and main jets, along with those 7 fire engines and the height vehicle. Kent Police confirmed officers attended the scene and closed the high street while fire crews extinguished the fire. They have also confirmed that an investigation is now underway into the cause of the fire.
Thank you so much for telling us about that, Kristen, and I really hope that cafe does open again soon. Now, a care home in Whitstable has been forced into special measures after residents were found to have rolled out of bed 19 times in 1 month. Bed rails were removed at Harrier Lodge without evidence of people being asked if they felt safe without them. The home had previously been rated inadequate because of this same reason. The Care Quality Commission report added that staff told inspectors that handovers were not always detailed and agency staff did not always know where to record incidents. But the provider which runs the home says it is challenging the rating and is calling for inspectors to return to a fairer evaluation. A man from Medway who's on trial after a teacher was killed in an alleged hit and run has denied seeing the victim in the road. Maidstone Crown Court heard how Jordan Bannon said he never saw a dancing and waving Ben Allen at the time of the collision on Station Road in Cliff near Rochester. The 33-year-old said that although he regretted his decision not to get out of his car to investigate what had caused the loud bang and shattered his windscreen, he was not drunk, despite saying otherwise in police body-worn camera footage shown to the court. Bannon continues to deny he saw the man and argues that he has no recollection of any comments he made due to a hypoglycemic episode caused by his diabetes, and the trial there continues. A plan to develop a former power station next to the Dartford crossing into a clean energy hub is said to be taking shape. Aegis Energy has secured an electric HGV site at the former Littlebrook power station near the Amazon warehouse. Michael Shaw, Chief Executive of Aegis Energy, said Dartford sits at one of the UK's most important freight gateways, and infrastructure like this is essential if we want to support clear transport, while keeping supply chains moving. Aegis Energy will begin preparing and submitting a planning application for the Littlebrook hub later this year. Now, vet prescription fees are to be capped at £21, and practices will have to publicise price lists for services. That's what the UK's competition watchdog has said. The Competition and Markets Authority, the CMA, has said a price comparison website should also be introduced to help boost competition and drive down prices faced by the consumer. I spoke to a veterinary practice in the county at the beginning of the consultation for these measures, so we can take a look back at that report now.
Whether you're an animal lover or prefer a fur-free home, I think we can all agree prices for everything have risen. But for the more than 10 million households in the UK that own a pet, the increasing costs have become all the more apparent. Vet bills have risen more than 60% in 10 years, with 80% of owners saying the cost of having their pet has increased. In response, the Competition and Markets Authority have proposed 21 new measures for the industry. The CMA's recent report found that vet bills have risen way above inflation. They've come up with a couple of solutions to try and keep prices low for consumers. Measures the CMA have proposed include capping prescriptions at £16, requiring vets to provide itemised bills, and encouraging owners to shop online for medicines rather than paying the prices in store. But here at Broadway Vets in Herne Bay, they say the answer just isn't that simple.
They haven't fixed the problem, which is where we get our drugs from. In some areas of Europe, I think actually most of Europe, they get their drugs direct from the provider of the drug. In the UK, we have to buy from a wholesaler. So at every stage that product is touched by someone else, there's a markup on it. And every time there's a markup, by the time it gets to that end user, that price has gone up 2, 3, 4 times. I think it's really important that people understand what they're paying for. And I think the most important thing for us is that once we've had that conversation with how much that procedure costs, whatever it is, that we can have that dialogue with the customer and that we can interact on what the next steps are.
Not only are the measures aimed at reducing prices, they also hope to make them much clearer from the outset.
We're really supportive of the remedies in the report around transparency. I think it's really important for pet owners to know when they go into a practice who owns that practice, whether it's part of a large group or not. And I think that's really important. There are some remedies in there which are common practice already across the sector, such as providing people with itemised bills and written estimates before treatment is undertaken. There are some practices that aren't doing that, which is why the CMA have included it in their provisional remedies. This investigation has highlighted a lot of press pieces around the veterinary sector that can sometimes feel a bit hostile to the people working on the ground who don't control the prices and just want what's best for people's pets.
These measures are provisional, with final reforms to be decided in March. While opinions are mixed in industry, we're sure pet owners are hoping for an improvement with the poor prices. Chloe Brewster for KMTV in Herne Bay.
Now it's time to take a look at the sports news from across the county with our reporter Chloe Smith.
It was an unfortunate weekend for Kent teams in League Two with Gillingham's 2-1 defeat against Bristol Rovers, starting off strong with a penalty in the 16th minute taken by Ronan Hale, gaining the Gills a 1-0 lead. The second half saw 2 more goals, both from Bristol, as Gillingham struggled to recover after conceding 12 and scoring once in their previous 3 matches. Manager Gareth Ainsworth continues to encourage the team, stating that "I want them to realise how close they are." In the National League South, Dover wins 2-1 against Chelmsford City after replacing sidelined midfielder Ryan Hansen with Dover defender Jacob Mensah. Dover manager stated that after Mensah had come out the team a couple of weeks ago that he didn't really deserve to, and we just felt we would change it up. Medway and Dartford Valley players Amelia Williams and Jasmine Adonry are to be included in the England Women's Under-21 rugby squad for an upcoming development camp. The 3-day session in Berkshire will also host Canada Under-21s for an opposed training in preparation for the Six Nations Under-21 series. Head coach LJ Lewis stated that facing Canada provides a valuable opportunity to test our connections, and that they're pleased to add Amelia, who has worked tirelessly through injury. Medway women also had great success in the NC1 South East against Aylesford Bulls ladies with a 34-14 win. Medway's dominance in the game left little room for Aylesford to compete, despite gaining 2 tries in the second half. The only disadvantage for the visitors being a collision between Esme Conway and Lucy Osborne, forcing both off the field in need of stitches. Ashford-born batsman Sam Northeast returns to Kent Cricket Club after helping Glamorgan in their promotion last year. North East states that his goal is to help Kent regain their top-tier status, and that he wants to make sure that Kent is right up there with the top clubs in the country again. Rejoining on a 2-year deal, North East previously served as Kent captain from September 2015 to January 2018. North East will return for his first game back against Durham on the 3rd of April, stating that it's going to be special. Chloe Smith for KMTV.
And now let's take a look at the weather. Tonight, Kent will see clear skies with temperatures ranging from 6 degrees to 10. And then into tomorrow morning, it's expected to be a variety of sun and rain with temperatures of 6 to 7 degrees. Rolling into the night, you can expect to see light showers with hints of sunshine, while temperatures staying around that 8-degree mark. And your outlook for the coming days consists of 9 degrees on Thursday with sunshine, 13 degrees of cloudy skies on Friday and 11 degrees on Saturday. Now it's time to take a short break, but we'll be back with another look at our top story this evening, where we'll be looking into the fallout of the Canterbury meningitis outbreak on local businesses. And we'll also be getting a recap on the numbers of meningitis in the area now. And then in the same vein, we spoke to the CEO of Kent Invicta Chamber of Commerce about so-called bad press in Canterbury and the rising fuel prices across Kent. See you in a bit. Thank you very much. Hello and welcome to Kent Tonight, live here on KMTV. I'm Chloe Brewster and here are your top stories on Tuesday the 24th of March. Business as usual, Canterbury businesses and local tourism impacted from the meningitis outbreak.
And when you come out shopping, you're not in close contact with people, are you really? So I think people are beginning to understand.
Cafe crisis, emergency crews called to early morning fire on Strood High Street. And finally, Save the Cats, an RSPCA cattery is fundraising to save itself from closure.
And, you know, our concern is if we do close, where do all of these cats go?
It's now week 2 of the meningitis outbreak over in Canterbury and thousands have been vaccinated against it. But what are the scenes like there? And with so many students and residents still conscious of the outbreak, how has local tourism been faring? Well, our reporter Naila Mohammed went to Canterbury to find out more.
All over social media, Canterbury has been compared to a ghost town. Many are leaving the city and others are strongly encouraging people not to come and visit amid the outbreak over fears of it spreading. But what is the reality on the ground? Well, it's week 2 of the meningitis outbreak, and this is what Canterbury High Street looks like. Found just 3 miles from the Canterbury campus of the University of Kent, the High Street is busier than expected, full of tourists and residents alike. But how have local businesses been coping amid the outbreak?
Basically, we are the tourist shops. So mostly our customers are like tourist base. So it directly got affected our business. We have seen like a drop in like past week, and this week is also very quiet.
Things have been quite slow. Foot traffic is down by about sort of 25% and takings were down. I think it's a really good time to start coming back to Canterbury. It's safe, it's comfortable. All the businesses are open and ready to welcome you. Everyone's taken extra sort of precautions. So I think you can feel very safe and very comfortable coming back to Canterbury. We need you.
Business being open as usual was a sentiment also shared by Alan Baldock. So I asked him, why was the high street suddenly so busy?
It's been quieter last week, to be honest, but I think people have got used to it now a little bit more. We know it's safe because meningitis is not spread in the same way that COVID was spread. It's much, much harder to get meningitis. It's much more about close contact. And when you come out shopping, you're not in close contact with people, are you really? So I think people are beginning to understand.
And only a few steps away from the high street, towards the cathedral, Canterbury gets even busier.
As you can see behind me, it's absolutely bustling here in Canterbury. You've got a busker on one side, and all surrounding me, actually, you've got school trips and tourists and residents all enjoying this lovely sunny day. In fact, as I was walking through the high street earlier, I came across 3 different school trips from other countries, and I've spoken to a few students as well who said they're very excited to come and spend the week here in Canterbury. And with the new installation of the Archbishop being this Wednesday, is tourism back on the rise for this historic city?
Naila Mohammed for KMTV in Canterbury.
With Canterbury set to host the installation of its Archbishop, Dame Sarah Mullally, tomorrow, we spoke with Lisa Carlson from the Canterbury Business Improvement District about if people should be wary of visiting the city.
So obviously the last week with the meningitis outbreak has been particularly challenging for our community, and our hearts go out to those who have been impacted by that, the students and their friends and their family. The impact on the city has been really devastating. So we saw about over 25% drop in footfall. At the beginning of the week, we saw language school group cancellations, hotel group cancellations, attractions seeing cancellations, and just fewer people coming in. We saw about, most of our businesses reported about a 50% drop in sales. And that's really challenging at this time of year because the sun came out last week. We're in the run up to the Easter holidays, and we're off the back of a really challenging 5 or 6 years that businesses and their staff have faced with rising costs. So we've been through the pandemic. We've now got an unstable situation politically and globally, uncertainty over energy prices, uncertainty over rising business costs, business rates, national insurance, all of it. It means that even if we do see that footfall increase, businesses aren't making a lot of money right now. And so this time of year in the run-up to the Easter holidays is so important. So it really has been a challenging time.
Should tourists be wary of coming into Canterbury, or would you say it's a celebration? Come in.
It's a really important celebration that's happening here in Canterbury as we welcome the 106th Archbishop of Canterbury, Dame Sarah Mullally, and we really look forward to her installation service tomorrow. There will be hundreds of people here, probably over 2,000 people here. Canterbury is a completely safe space, and I understand off the back of the pandemic, when something like a meningitis outbreak happens, people are concerned, and that makes complete sense. But it's absolutely fine. We've not heard any medical advice to indicate that we shouldn't gather, we shouldn't come out. And of course, Canterbury, you're never more than 5 minutes from a park or a garden. There's lots of outdoor space, there's fantastic hospitality. So if you just feel like you want to be outside, you can. But otherwise, come and explore. It's a beautiful city, and we welcome you.
Now, the latest data on the outbreak says there have been no new meningitis cases linked to that original cluster in Canterbury. That's for the second day in a row. The vaccine rollout has also been extended to Year 11s and the affected schools. That's in addition to those who are at the University of Canterbury Christchurch or University of Kent and sixth formers. That means also that 20 cases have been confirmed, and there's also 3 still under investigation. Now, has the meningitis outbreak caused bad press for Kent's only city? And what could rising fuel prices mean for those across the county wanting to fill up their car? These are the 2 pressing questions that I put to the CEO of the Kent Invicta Chamber of Commerce earlier on today. So Tudor, first of all, what is the impact of something like meningitis and all the bad press around Canterbury on businesses there?
I think you said the word there, bad press. I mean, unfortunately, that's what travels furthest and fastest. Whatever the sort of genuine situation on the ground, it's the anxiety that's caused by that sort of word of mouth and that sort of promotion, if you like, around the broadcast sphere. What happens, of course, is we see an immediate impact with cancellations of bookings, so hotel rooms, tourist visitor attractions, and of course, people sort of start to change reservations or move things back. I'm pleased to see that quite a lot of people that we've spoken to in the area have actually had bookings deferred. So, they've either offered a voucher or a gift card. So they will hopefully still see that business come back in. But certainly in the short term, there's been an immediate hit straight away.
Mm-hmm. Thanks so much. And another thing that everyone across Kent will be noticing at the moment is fuel prices. Filling up your car is so expensive at the moment. Can you tell us a little bit about why that is?
Well, so as many of us will have seen, of course, there's sort of conflict in the Middle East. Iran is actually the 3rd largest producer of oil. And of course, all that oil has to come down through the sea and then get round to us where it's then turned into fuel and diesel and petrol. And of course, if it's not getting out of the country, then of course, it's not long before the tanks start to run dry here in the UK. And of course, it's not just the price at the pump, but obviously the things that oil goes into, so the number of plastics, fertilizers. And of course, that means that there's less of it about. So the price goes up because it's a more sort of scarce resource. And that, of course, has an impact on a lot of different aspects, whether that's farming, food production, manufacturing, and so forth. So the longer the conflict goes on, unfortunately, the more it'll cost us.
And what sectors are being hit the hardest at the moment with the increasing fuel costs and also the energy costs?
So it's more to do with the immediate impact has been around the petrol pump price, I guess, really. So haulage companies, distribution companies, anyone that sort of burns fuel to sort of generate the energy. That has had the immediate hit because the price went up literally overnight. As soon as sort of the warplanes went in, you could see the costs rise. Things like food, obviously the price of fertilizer is going to go up as the manufacturing of that costs more because of the sort of lack of the oil. That then gets passed on to the farmer, and the farmers will then have to sort of pass that on to the consumer through increased product prices. So all in all, I think we will still have some knock-on effect, even if this conflict wraps up overnight.
I think there's a lot of confusion in the communication about when prices are going to go up and what is actually going on. We hear from Trump that there is peace on the horizon, and we're hearing from Iran that there isn't. How does it work with when we have these huge international players communicating with the public. How does that impact the markets? How does that impact what people are actually going to be paying on a day-to-day basis?
So the way in which the markets operate is that they take a view as to how available or unavailable a particular commodity is, so whether that's oil, gas, coal, minerals, whatever it might be. So if a market trader hears that there could be a shortage of oil because it's not getting out of the ground because of the conflict, they will immediately assume that there's going to be less oil available, therefore they put the price up to try and maximise the return they can get on what's left. So it's around the scarcity and availability of a particular product. And that's really what happens. It's to do with the market getting anxious about the availability of a particular product or commodity. All the time that Trump comes out and says we're going to carry on or we're going to stop, it then has an immediate effect on the concerns and anxiety of a market trader. And unfortunately, that's how a lot of our sort of global economy now operates.
Now it's time for a quick break before our final segment of the evening, but stay tuned as we'll have more Kent stories, including about a scout team set to be the first to undertake an organised expedition project to the North Pole. Yes, you heard that right, the North Pole. Johnny Depp was also been sighted in Maidstone filming his latest project. All that and more after this short break. Goodbye. Hello and welcome back to Kent Tonight, live here on KMTV. Kent Scouts are set to break new ground this April as they become the first Scout team ever to undertake an organised expedition project to the North Pole, or almost Svalbard, a Norwegian archipelago in the Arctic Ocean. It's located between mainland Norway and the North Pole. It's known for its dramatic glaciers and polar bears, and the 14 Scouts will set off on their quest in April and will take part in ice cave hiking, dog sledding, snowmobiling, photography and research hikes, and not your average Scout trip there. I spoke to Alan Noak, MBE from the Kent Scouts, all about the trip earlier on today. What is the plan? What are you going to be doing there? I'm imagining you're not planning on petting any polar bears or anything like that.
No, that's right. They've got a really packed itinerary. Each of them's got an individual polar project that they have to do. Some of those are scientific, and some of them are to do with arts, and some of them are sort of historical research. So they're doing a whole mixture of projects.
Amazing. And why was this specific location chosen over any of the others?
Yeah, good question. 100 years ago, a scout went north with a very famous explorer at the time was Worsley, and he'd actually been south with Shackleton, and he led his own expedition up to the north. So we wanted 100 years later to follow what this scout had done. So that's why we chose to go up to the Arctic Circle and Svalbard.
Mm-hmm. And of the scouts that are going to the Arctic Circle, what is that age range there?
Yeah, so they're all going to be 18 by the time they go. So this is the sort of Gold Duke of Edinburgh age. And a few adult leaders as well. So we have expeditions to Africa that I run every year, and those are 16 upwards. But we felt with the polar regions, both with Antarctica and the Arctic, we'd go for 18 upwards.
Mm-hmm. And how do you prepare the Scouts for quite an intense mission? I can imagine going from training in Kent to training in near enough the North Pole must be quite a big difference.
It's true, yeah. They've done lots of different training activities, a lot of outdoor camping and stuff like that. You can't really prepare for those environments. I mean, short of locking yourself in a fridge for the day, but we basically for Antarctica, we did a lot of fitness training. So we did a lot of rowing and things like that before we went. With the Arctic, they've got themselves ready to work as a team, but I think the challenge will be in the actual expedition itself.
Mm-hmm. And what does it mean to you to be able to take your Scouts away to these incredibly cool locations?
I mean, I just get a lot of pleasure out of it. I love travel myself, and like I say, I run an expedition to Africa every year. So I take Scouts out, take them to Kenya, to Ghana, to Zanzibar. Last year we went to Botswana and worked with elephants. So, so these remote regions, I just think it's all about developing character with these young people. And if they've been all the way through the scouting system, it's that sort of final challenge for them to do something like this. Yeah.
A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, I can imagine. Thank you so much, Alan.
Certainly. No problem at all.
Now, don't forget, you can keep up to date with all the latest stories on kmtv.co.uk. There you can check out all of our previous stories, just like this one.
This is not your average choir. Here, words take a back seat and your hands take centre stage.
This choir is very different to all the others. There is no singing involved unless you want to. All the work instead are done with your hands, the most important part in communicating with people who are deaf or hard of hearing.
Vision Signing Choir meet up every Thursday evening in Gillingham to bring people together for one sole reason: to sign. And this choir creates a community where everyone is welcome.
Like tonight, we're hearing
deaf, they can all come together, enjoy the music, whether they're feeling it, whether they've got hearing aids in. But we all mix together and we can sign and we can sing. Well, we don't really sing much, but we sign and we just enjoy the music and everyone can get together.
Other members of the choir say that it provides a safe space for those who are deaf or hard of hearing, especially when they may not have a space of their own.
It would be nice to have more spaces where deaf people feel comfortable and where they can communicate in their own language and feel a part of something, because they've had a lot of oppression over the years. A lot of their spaces have closed down.
This is Mina. She started to lose her hearing 9 years ago and often feels judged when she's out in public. That's when she and her daughter joined the choir.
You can tell people, sorry, can you face me? Can you speak clearly? And maybe for the first 2 minutes they will remember, but then they start to look away or they look down or they start to mumble. And when you can't keep asking them, can you repeat that? Can you repeat that? Because in the end you get, oh, never mind. So you just feel that, yeah, you're being judged.
The choir is open to seasoned pros and beginners alike, as they learn a new song almost every week. So I took this as an opportunity to learn some sign language myself. Though my signing does need some work, the environment allows for mistakes. And in a choir where voices aren't needed, the message of community is still being heard loud and clear. Naila Mohammed for KMTV in Gillingham.
A major Hollywood star has chosen a Maidstone bar to be a new space for the film scene for an upcoming movie. Mew Mew's, which is known for its unusual theatrical design, was chosen by Johnny Depp and his team for his new blockbuster, The Day Drinker. The story follows a private yacht bartender who meets a mysterious day drinker, drawing them into a criminal underworld. So this is a really interesting story. In the pub was a handmade figure of Jack Sparrow. It was meant to be, the owner said. It's like we were waiting for Johnny for 20 years. Now, after facing financial loss in the past year due to raising vet bills and cost of living, the Ashford Garden Cattery is fundraising to stay open. They need to raise £50,000 to stay open until the end of the year and are urging the public to help. They've made significant progress, but is this enough? Our reporter Naila Mohammed went to cuddle some cats and find out.
This is Tom. He's been at the Ashford Garden Cattery for around a month and is looking for a home. But if the cattery closes, it's likely he will have to move to another RSPCA branch outside of Ashford. This is the reality for all of the cats here in the cattery, all who are here for various different reasons.
It could be because the owner can no longer afford to keep them, the cost of living crisis, and also the increase in vet costs, which is a big problem. And then sadly, sometimes we do have cats. Sabrina, she's gone missing, there she is. Sabrina, who was sadly left on our doorstep in a carrier one evening last week.
After facing a £30,000 loss in the last year, if Ashford Garden Cattery cannot raise the £50,000 it needs to stay open, it will be forced to close, taking the future of these cats out of their hands.
And, our concern is if we do close, where do all of these cats go? Where do they go? Because there's nowhere in Ashford town centre, based in the town centre, for cats in need to come to.
This is Delilah. She's only 10 weeks old and has been in the Ashford Garden Cattery since the 18th of Feb, making her one of the newest members here. Other cats have been here for around 100 days, the oldest cat being 15 years old. Now, if the cattery doesn't fundraise the £50,000 before the end of the year, exactly, they will be forced to close. And then cats like Delilah may need to be moved to other RSPCA branches where they may be unsettled as they're not used to the environment. Here, The animals are well taken care of and are comfortable in their private spaces. They can socialise with many people and vice versa. It allows people to come and spend time with them. So I asked one volunteer what it would be like for her if the cattery did close.
Yeah, that would be really weird for me. I would be sad about it, but I would also wonder, I don't know, what to do with myself on Tuesdays. But yeah, I think if it were to close, it would be a loss for sure. Not just for me, but for the community as a whole.
3 weeks into the fundraising, Ashford Garden Cattery have already raised £10,000 of their target and have received so much community support so far. Lisa is hoping that with this support and fundraising the full amount, every cat will find the home that they deserve. Naila Mohammed for KMTV in Ashford.
You've been watching Kent Tonight live here on KMTV. There's more news made just for Kent throughout the evening. Don't forget you can always keep up to date with the latest news across your county by logging on to kmtv.co.uk. There you can keep us on your social timelines by liking us on Facebook and following us on TikTok. And if you think we've got a story we should be covering, then get in touch. We also have a series of special programmes with sport and film club you can watch soon. Thank you so much for watching today. Goodbye.